Hi, I'm Haley, this is Taya, and welcome to Haley and Taya Rip Up Supernatural and Start Over, and also sometimes talk about other stuff on podcasts.
Also known as HATRUSA. And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 1 of Supernatural, Pilot.
Which we thought was called
I thought this was
Women in White.
A Woman in White. We both thought it was called A Woman in White. It's not. That is the ghost, but it is called Pilot. And it originally aired on September 13th, 2005, so we're a hot 15 years out. It actually, in other languages, because this Wikipedia page is super in-depth, there are two different dubs that have it translate to the Woman in White, and one that translates to the White Lady. French is the White Lady. Both German and Polish are the Woman in White. Czech is Dead on the Bridge. Brazil is Two Brothers, which is kind of lame, no offense. Finnish is Searching for Dad, which very on the nose. Hungarian is Without a Trace, and Spanish is keeping it real simple and is also called The Pilot.
Correct. So, the pilot episode starts out with, goodness gracious, what is the word? For when...
A flashback?
Well, no. More specific than a flashback. The word for when tells... Exposition. We start out with some exposition in the form of a flashback. We find out why Sam and Dean do not have a mother.
Within like 3 minutes, maybe, we
Correct.
have a fridged woman.
Absolutely, we do. We find out about their home, their father. We find out that Dean is older than Sam, because Sam is an infant baby and Dean is a older looking toddler who is not the age that he doesn't appear to be the age he should be. But it's fine.
He looks a little bit old, but to be fair, Sam also looks old. Sam is supposed to be 6 months old at this point for plot relevant reasons. But that baby looked too old, but babies rarely look the right age, so like I won't.
That is fair.
I won't fight them over this one. I won't fight him. So they put the baby to bed, and they're in bed, and then Mary's asleep, but then, Sam is crying.
And what's going on
and
with Sam?
She goes and checks on him.
It's just but, John.
Yeah, he's there, and she's
just
like,
kidding!
Okay, and John's like, shh. She's like, all right, going back to bed then. But then, the light flickers. And she realizes that John is downstairs watching TV.
Yeah.
So who is upstairs in the bedroom? We don't know yet. We know, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, we can't say it yet, because we're not supposed to know yet. From there, we go forward.
Yeah, Mary screams, John runs upstairs. She's on the ceiling, stabbed, bleeding. There's a fire.
Would you say stabbed, or would you say slashed? Because I would say slashed.
I would say it's unclear because she's wearing a silk nightgown with a blood stain and you don't actually see any wound.
But it's like a line across her torso.
Is it really, though? I just remember it being like a blob of blood. She's dead. The point is she's dead and now she's on fire.
Dead. She's dead on fire and stuck to the ceiling.
Yeah. And so John gets the boys out, and then he gets out because obviously Mary is... He goes back like he's gonna save Mary, but she's on the ceiling covered in flames. So, And then they are sitting outside as the firefighters are putting out the fire. And then we flash forward X amount of years to Stanford University,
where Sam is attending, and he's got a pretty high score. I believe it was 174. Yeah, I was gonna say 3, but it's one of them. It's one of them. And
it's one of them, and it's lower than Elle Woods.
So he could be doing better
than Elle Woods.
He could be doing better, but he's doing really good for himself considering his upraising.
Also, the highest score you can get is a 180. So like,
oh holy shit!
Not like, yeah. No, it is high. He got a high score. But him and his girlfriend are out celebrating for Halloween. It's Halloween. He says he hates Halloween. She's like, let's just go celebrate and have a few drinks. He has an interview with a law school on Monday. Him and Jess go home. His girlfriend's name is Jess. I don't know if we've said that yet, but her name is Jess, and I love her.
Fine.
And they go home, they go to bed. In the middle of the night, someone breaks into their apartment. Sam fights him. Surprise, it's Dean.
It's Dean, and he's looking pretty nice.
Is that your one?
I have 2. We agreed 2, and that doesn't count because I
When did
didn't
we agree?
say the word.
When did we agree to?
I believe I said I would not say it more than twice in an episode.
No, you said once.
I definitely
edited
said
the episode. You can go back. You can go back and listen. I swear we said once. But anyway, if you get 2 this time and it turns out I was right and you only get 1, you don't get any next time.
Oh no! Okay, fair enough.
So you have to decide either 1 this time or 2 this time and 0 next time, because I'm pretty sure I'm right. But anyway, Dean is back and he's like, yo, help me out. And Sam is like, no, absolutely not happening.
Can
But
I
then
say the line?
Dean
May
says
I?
The line. Yes, you can say the line.
Dad's on a hunting trip, and he hasn't been back in a few days.
Great, thank you. That was a really accurate
You're welcome.
impression of him.
Thank you.
I would say 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
But, that's the iconic line. Him and Sam leave, and we cut to our monster of the week, which is we got some horny dude driving a car, and he sees this woman in white, on the side of the road, and he stops, and he's like, car troubles? And I'm like, there's no car here, sir. And he's like, well, get on in. And she's like, really putting it on him.
Yeah, she pulls her
And
dress up
I
a
can't
little
exact-
bit, shows her knee.
Yeah, somehow they get on a bridge. I don't really remember how they get on the bridge, but they get on a bridge and then she murders him,
It's fine.
which is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. There's a fun blood splatter that I don't really know like what she did to get it on like the windshield and 2 other windows. But it's
I personally
impressive.
think she ripped off his dick.
And then,
Taya told me that doesn't sound right.
Well, anyway, Sam and Dean are going back to this place because it was the last place that they heard from their dad, and they do their investigation shit, and then they find the ghost. They figure out that there was a suicide involved, there were some drowned babies involved. Dean gets arrested because even they use fake credit cards and fake like marshals and FBI, like all their documents are faked, and they literally get figured out episode 1 and arrested for it.
But the one thing that's real, Taya, what's the one thing that's real?
Dean's boobs.
It's Dean's boobs.
Yeah, it's Dean's boobs. But Sam does a fake 911 call so Dean can break out of the police precinct thingamabobber. And then as he's talking to Dean on the phone, which goddammit, stop talking on the phone while driving, he hits the woman in white and just kind of goes through her, but he slams on his brakes because natural reaction. But then she's in the back of the car and she takes control of it. She drives him to her house where she lived when she was alive, and she's trying to kill him, and he's like, you can't kill me, I'm not unfaithful, because the whole woman in white lore has to do with unfaithful husbands, and Sam is a good boy. He's a good boy, and he hasn't cheated. And she's like, you will be unfaithful. And I'm like, I don't think that's how I don't know if that's how this works.
Yeah. I mean,
You
like,
know?
if you want to use it, like, here's how you could use it, right? Not to, like, immediately go into things you could fucks with here. But if there were, like, a clear disconnect that none of her victims up to this point have been unfaithful, and, like, she's clearly just going off the road because she's been dead for so long or whatever, like, if you want to play it that way, play it that way. But don't force Sam, like, you can't do that. You can't just change your modus operandi once.
Yeah, she was just like, well, you're gonna be unfaithful. And it's like, ma'am, I don't know if it works if, 1, he's unfaithful with you, and two, if he's not consenting to what's happening. So she just starts, like, trying to rip his heart out. Dean shoots her a bunch, which obviously does fucking nothing. Sam is like, all right, I'll take you home, and drives directly into the house where her ghost children, who she drowned in a bathtub, are like, Mommy, you came home, and then they destroy her. And that's it. They finished it. They solved the ghost. The ghost has been solved.
And everything's okay now.
Everything is fine. So Dean starts figuring out, okay, where's our next move? Because they have their dad's journal, and he left, like, code. This family has a lot of code, a lot of different ways to find each other should one get lost. It'll come up throughout the series. This one was just Marine code, so I don't know anything about the Marines.
Yeah, I don't either.
And Sam is like, I'm not coming with you, Dean. I'm going home. Like, I'm done with the hunter life. I told you I'm done with it. And so Dean brings him back. He goes upstairs. He lays in bed. I can't do this.
Well, he goes upstairs, lays in bed, and he's like, well, sure has been a long day, and now I get to go home and relax with my beautiful, loving girlfriend, Jess. And then a blood drop is on Sam's forehead, and you're like, oh no, and then he opens his eyes, and well, you see Jess is pinned to the ceiling, much like his mother when he was a tiny baby infant, slashed open on the stomach, and bleeding, and on fire, and everything is on fire. She's burning. Sam is screaming. Dean comes in screaming and winds up carrying Sam out because, oh no, whatever has killed his mother has killed his beautiful girlfriend.
And then they leave.
So Sam goes, well, let's get going. We have a thing to do or something. So...
And that's the synopsis. And I'm
And Taya's really sad.
Okay. Listen, I love Jess. Jess shows up in, like, 2 scenes of this episode, and she shows up in a couple of others for various weird reasons, but never truly comes back. But she's so sweet, and, like, I mean, I guess it's just projection, but, like, it's so sad because Sam could have had such a normal and successful life. I mean, that is debatable considering the demon blood.
Considering the demon blood, it is pretty debatable.
It's debatable. But it's possible he could have. Like, he could have gone to law school. He could have been a lawyer or done whatever he was planning on doing. I think in other episodes, heavily implies, if not outright states, he was going to marry Jess. Like,
yeah.
It's really sad.
Even
it makes me really
flash
upset.
forward to season 15, he does mention Jess and mentions the fact that he still thinks about her. So
I still think about her.
Yeah.
I'm so sad. It's upsetting. And it's a lot because there are exactly 3 named female characters in this episode. One is dead, and the other 2 die. And it's just like, this is how we're starting our show.
However, I have a most favorite thing about Jess. And it's the fact that she says that Sam would crash and burn without her.
Oh my god.
And then she is the one who crashes and burns.
Haley.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm in pain.
Yeah, but we call that irony, I'm pretty sure.
That and a little bit of foreshadowing, I would say.
Yeah, ironic foreshadowing.
Yeah. I also think it's funny. I think it's not funny, but I think it's fun that she dresses up as a nurse, just because these boys are constantly getting seriously injured.
Yeah.
And I would not say properly caring for their wounds.
Yeah.
But she does dress up as a nurse for Halloween.
We do love her.
We do. But yeah, that's important to talk about. It's that this episode, well, it's parallels, obviously. The way Sam is involved in both of these because it's the blood drops from Mary, which is his mom, land in his crib, and the blood drops from Jess land on his forehead. So it's obviously a very direct parallel, but they do immediately fridge the mom, and then they fridge the girlfriend who has had like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, and then the main
And
ghost is dead.
yeah, it's just
I
something to
hold
keep in
on.
mind.
I just said the main ghost is dead.
What?
I said the main ghost is dead.
Yeah, I was just gonna let that happen.
All right. Well, thanks for trying.
It's okay. It, but it is very like. I'm not saying that characters can't be driven by grief, because that's very real, but all of the Winchesters drive, I would argue, except for Dean, except not really, because Dean does remember his mom dying.
Whereas
It's
Sam does
all
not.
driven by the death of women in their lives. Like, Supernatural is the epitome of, like, shows about, like,
Man pain. It's man pain.
And the women who suffer for their man pain, and female suffering tends to drive the plot.
Right.
For at least this episode, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just like, ugh. Ah. But anyway, we've talked a lot, and I feel like I've talked about nothing at the same time.
Yeah, we just did a big synopsis, but that's okay because the synopsis is very necessary to the discussion of the episode, which is that on the go and go, that's not a phrase, but it is now. I'm making it one. On the go
Okay.
and go, the pilot episode of Supernatural is a pretty fucking solid episode.
It's a solid episode.
Aside from killing off all of the women.
It's well paced. I wouldn't say that the ghost is difficult. It's not one of their hardest hunts.
Yeah.
But it introduces you to the world pretty well. It gives you a good idea of character motivation. Like, it's a really solid first episode, which means there's not as much to complain about other than me being like, why is Jess dead?
Yeah, why is Jess dead? I think
that's really it.
The good things that they did do, they very well set up the dynamic between Sam and Dean, I think, in that it shows Sam going off and doing his own thing, whereas Dean is like, well, I'm still hunting, and I still know where Dad is.
Yeah.
Sam's like, well.
And it shows off their banter pretty well in, like, where they have a loving banter, but they also definitely push each other, like, way too far sometimes.
Yeah.
They have a very realistic sibling relationship, especially when you consider, you know, how they grew up.
Yeah.
And especially considering John, and we should make it clear that this is a John Winchester hate podcast.
Yeah, so sorry if you're listening to this and you actually love John Winchester, but, like, you might want to go. Because, like, that's just not what we're all about in here.
Yeah, I know that they give him a lot of backstory that I haven't seen yet, but I wouldn't say that the backstory I've heard about has really endeared me toward him in any way. And I would also say I don't fucking care if his backstory is tragic, because he told Sam that if he went to college that he was effectively disowned.
Yeah.
So we ain't chill, John.
And I
we
mean,
are
like,
not chill.
I have experienced all the backstory, and I still don't care, so take that with what you will. And, like, I don't mean to alienate a portion of an audience. Like, if you want to keep listening and just, like, aggressively disagree with us, that's pretty hot, too. Like, go ahead. But
not only can you do that, you should do that. You should tweet at us. You should leave comments on YouTube. You should leave comments on SoundCloud. If we ever get on Apple iTunes, you should give us reviews that are very angry about how much we hate John Winchester.
Yeah, for sure.
Tweet at us. Be angry at us. Very publicly on social media.
Yes. Like, we have the iconic bitch jerk dialogue, which everybody knows the bitch jerk dialogue.
Yeah. It's like, it's so classic sibling too, because, like, there's no malice there. It's just like, it's just something you say. And it's like kind of in a loving way.
Yeah, like my brother and I do it.
I need these Winchester people to get some scissors because apparently they just rip paper and tape it to the wall. Like, stop ripping things up and just, like,
Yeah, they make
snip, snip,
utensils
snip.
for
Like,
that.
please. Like, it's just, I don't know why they thought the aesthetic was more appealing if all of their papers were, like, haphazardly ripped out of
Well, it
books.
just,
Like, come on.
I think it might just be that it looks like more hasty. But
But it
even
wasn't
so,
hasty because he had clearly put up. So we're now talking about the motel room that John left behind, where he is very clearly, and like not only has he put up, it's not like in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Sylvia, where it's like haphazardly thrown on the wall and like looks like a mess. Like it's all neatly lined up. There's
but it's
labels.
ripped.
There's like it's like. Yeah, it looks very organized except for the fact that all the paper has been just like ripped out of books. Like,
Yeah.
I swear to God. Usually if there is anything about folklore I want to say, I'll say it. There's not much to say in this episode because I'll be honest, I actually think that the ghost of this episode is so tame so they could introduce bigger concepts.
Oh, yeah.
But The Woman in White is based on, and my God, am I so sorry, I have the worst Spanish accent and may mispronounce it, is La Llorona, which is a woman crying for her dead children from Mexican folklore that has extended over Latin America's other folklores. I am stealing this directly from the wiki page for Supernatural, so if this is incorrect, it's because I didn't feel like doing deep research for this one. I'm sorry. This one just it's not that
It's
deep
the
a
baby
ghost,
episode.
You know? It's the baby episode. This says it's a little different. In the episode it has her her husband being unfaithful, then she kills her children, then she kills herself. In this one, it sounds like in this, it says, the basic story says there was a beautiful woman by the name of Maria who killed her children by drowning them in order to be with the man she loved, but was subsequently rejected by him. He might have been the children's father who left her for another woman. Then after being rejected by her lover, she kills herself. She isn't allowed to enter heaven, so she wanders the earth for all eternity, looking for her children because she's not allowed into heaven until she finds them. And she's constantly weeping, and apparently she will kidnap wandering children who look like her lost children or children who disobey their parents.
Great.
So a lot of that was dropped. There's nothing in this specific. It maybe, since it sounds like it's a pretty popular idea, there are almost definitely versions where she goes after men who are unfaithful, but this one seems to be more about the children, which are kind of almost a footnote in this episode, I would say.
Yeah, they only are there for the solution, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know what Sam and Dean's plan was other than to see if her body was still there and burn it, which is usually the solution.
So it was just a lucky break that they were still around.
It really was a lucky break that it was. But again, I don't think the point of this episode was as much of the monster hunting as it is in some of the other season 1 episodes.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what makes it a good pilot, I think, because like it focuses more on the characters and less on we need to figure out a mystery.
Right.
Which is good. I can't remember enough of the next episode to say if focusing more on the mystery is an improvement. So who knows on that one. But apparently she comes back in, well, not necessarily this woman in white, but a woman in white comes back in both season 14 and 15.
Correct.
Which I find interesting. And also, something we noticed that one of my friends asked me about, we'll talk about this, hopefully, if I remember, in 6 years, but there are actually 2 bridges in this episode. There is the bridge that has, like, triangles. I don't know what those kind of bridges are called.
It's like over,
it
there's a railing. Nope, they both have railings.
Yeah, there's like
it's like a hat.
Triangles.
The building has a
It's
hat.
like a hat.
The bridge.
It's one that usually I associate those kind of bridges with like trains, but this one was for cars. But there is a bridge right next to it that is incredibly similar, if not exactly the same bridge that they go to in heaven in the season finale. So that's interesting. We don't know for sure 100% if it's the same bridge.
Yeah, don't quote us.
That would be really interesting and also kind of funny since Supernatural kind of sucks at continuity at times.
Well, I'm thinking about it right now, and it's also like really fun because like that's their first case, and it was like their first reunion, and then like it's the end. In the end, it's like them reuniting. So like that's just really fun. Supernatural. If you thought that
would
be
fun if the episode didn't suck.
Yeah, if you thought that far, Supernatural, that's really fucking cool of you. But like, I don't have that much faith in you that you did, so I'm not gonna give you that credit. That credit's mine.
Yeah.
I'm taking that for a rewrite. Sorry.
Hold on. I'm skimming the Wikipedia page. You would be impressed. The Supernatural Wikipedia is in depth. I don't know if it remains as in depth as we go on. We will find out.
Yeah.
But there is trivia. There are errors. Yeah, you sent me one. When Sam criticizes Dean's choice of music, Dean takes the Metallica tape off of Sam and puts the cassette in the stereo, but instead of Metallica playing either Back in Black by AC/DC or A Gift to the World by the Loveless Stars playing depending on the version.
Yeah, so I don't know what that means, but I distinctly remember when I first watched this that Back in Black definitely played. But when we watched it on Netflix right now, today, which is November the 29th, just in case they change it in the future, it was not Back in Black on Netflix. So I don't know what happened there.
That's so weird. I wonder if they had... Because this Wikipedia page also has a featured music section, and it says Highway to Hell is on.
Which was also not there.
And Highway to Hell is a super, 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 like, easy to recognize song, like, no matter what part of it you're playing.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if when they originally aired it, they had the rights to the music, but when they went for, like, DVD and streaming rights, AC/DC was like, actually no, which is why they didn't show up.
I mean, that's possible.
And that means that this week's episode is brought to you either by Back in Black by AC/DC or A Gift to the World by Loveless, depending on the version.
Depending on the version, entirely.
There's no citation on this one, and I would like to know. I'm so curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Other things?
I'm actually skimming the trivia section right now.
Right. Well, I was looking at the trivia section, and I think it's very, very interesting that Mary and John were both supposed to be dead originally. Or no, John was alive.
They were supposed to be in a car crash.
Yeah, which would have fit my bill.
Yeah, I know. You ghosts and car crashes, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's interesting that their last names were going to be Harrison at first.
Yeah.
Mostly because Winchester not only has the rifle name, but has the Winchester house, which I don't think they ever visited.
I don't remember enough. I could not tell you.
We'll have to see, but I remember for years people were like, why hasn't there been a episode in the Winchester mansion? And I don't think there ever was one.
No.
But I think Harrison is an interesting choice. And I can't think of any reason for Harrison other than Harrison Ford at the moment.
Oh. Yeah, he does exist.
Which can't be the reason. That can't be the reason. John's first name was originally going to be Jack, and I wonder if that's why they ended up naming Jack Jack.
Well, I'm going to find out right now for you.
Good for you. And also, originally, Sam and Dean were to be raised by their aunt and uncle without knowledge of the supernatural. This element was dropped in favor of the boys being raised as hunters, as the showrunners felt the original pilot, in which Dean has to convince Sam the supernatural was real, was too awkward, which sounds incredible, actually.
Hey.
And tell me what you're going to tell me.
So, according to the Jack Klein Wikipedia page, Jack is a medieval diminutive of John, and
good for them.
So that's why it was changed. And apparently it was John Winchester was changed to John Winchester because Jack Winchester was a real person found living in Lawrence, Kansas. So they didn't want to do that to him.
They didn't use very, like, unique names, though, but that's also fair.
But it doesn't say that that's why they named Jack Jack, but I think it might be why they named Jack Jack.
That might be. That would be cool. There's a really funny trivia one right after this, because when we were watching the episode, there's a point where the ghost drives the Impala, which I don't think we've ever straight out said it, but Dean has an Impala and it's his baby.
It's baby.
It's literally baby, but the ghost drives the Impala at them, and they're running away and realize, well, we're gonna get hit, so they jump over the side of the bridge, and I was like, you idiots, you should have held on. And Sam does hold on, but Dean doesn't. Dean ends up in the river. And apparently, the original plan in shooting the bridge scene where the boys jump off, both Jensen and Jared were planning to go into the river. However, there was a costuming error, and they only had enough for one of them to fall in, accidentally adding more humor to the episode, which I think is hilarious, actually.
It's really good. So, like, Supernatural.
It's really funny.
You get this.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty quality.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't believe I have many qualms with season 1.
I do, and one is just dying.
Yeah.
That was not clear yet. And the other is the entirety of the second episode.
Well, I said many.
That's fair. Did you know, fun fact, sorry we're just going through the trivia, we truly don't have that much to talk about for this episode, but because it's pretty basic as a pilot.
We need to be substantial.
I think trivia is fun. If you didn't know, the Winchester is named after a rifle. But it's only brought up once in the whole series. But when Dean asks Sam to help him locate their missing father, he claims to have not spoken to Sam in 2 years, although Sam has attended Stanford for almost 4 full years, suggesting the brothers had some degree of contact between Sam's leaving for school and the events of the episode. Right. Another interpretation is that Sam completed the first 2 years of his undergraduate study in a community college or online school. Then, when he was ready to leave the nest, he got into Stanford to complete the second 2 years of his degree. I prefer the first one, if only because I want John Winchester out of Sam's life as fast as humanly possible.
Here's why I prefer the second part. I like the idea of them being on these hunts and whatever, and Sam just staying home on a laptop doing school.
They're both good.
Yeah.
They're both good.
They're both really good. So what it comes down to is what
really
one...
good.
Hey, I have one for every right. Follow me.
I'm following
He starts it online.
Okay.
Right? So he starts at an online school. He's in some sort of online community school or whatever. I don't know. And he meets Jess because they're classmates in there, right? And they somehow meet up for, I don't know, coffee or something. I'm in college. That's what students do sometimes. Coffee. And from there, perhaps they try to get an apartment together. And that's when the Dean Winchester, Sam Winchester fallout occurs.
I wouldn't even say it's a Dean and Sam fallout, more as a Sam and John fallout, and Dean is, despite being, how old would he be at that point? 24? Despite being 24,
he's a little daddy's boy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to talk about it later when more John stuff comes up. But I think Dean has not reached the same point of realization of how shitty their father is.
No, and he doesn't until like season 2.
He doesn't. I'd say even at 24, he's still kind of stuck in this relationship where he's going to not only like listen to his father no matter what his father says. So when his father says, if Sam leaves for college, don't come back, Dean is gonna listen to that. But also where he's kind of just gonna trust him with everything and do anything for him, because I can't remember all the times that they've died, but I feel like it took a really long time for Dean to give up on their dad. And Sam gave up on their dad before the show started.
Correct.
So, which is the correct response to John
It's the correct
Winchester,
response,
in my opinion.
Fuck you, John. No sympathy.
Yeah, no sympathy. Is there anything else? Oh, I wanted to say, I skimmed this Wikipedia page because it wasn't as interesting as some other ones, but my favorite line in it is, because it has featured supernatural beings, my favorite is special child, parentheses, Sam.
Right.
I don't know why, it's just special child, Sam. Thank you.
Let me get you my favorite line from the Wikipedia, which I also briefly skimmed, but I really think that mine is, goodness gracious, where did it go? Is the fact that Brady is an antagonist. Though Brady is unseen, we are told that Brady is an antagonist from this episode.
Hold on, I'm going onto Brady's page. Who the fuck is Brady?
I think he's the demon.
Yeah. It is a...
yeah, he's the demon.
It's a demon.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
But it's just really funny and vague that Brady's an antagonist.
It is.
I just like it.
Do I have anything else to say? I mean, there's always some cultural references. I wouldn't say any of them are killer. I think a good one is that I didn't know about because I don't know anything about alcohol. Is Sam is talking to Jess about John, and she was like, "You said he's like went hunting," and he's like, "Yeah, he's probably got Jack, Jim, and Jose along with him," and apparently those are all references to alcohol. Oh, he also says when Dean first is like, "Dad is gone," Sam says, "So he's working overtime on a Miller time shift." That's also an alcohol. So Miller is a beer, Jim Beam is a bourbon, Jack Daniels is whiskey, and Jose Cuervo is tequila.
Got it.
It's not only a reference to possibly John being an alcoholic, but also I'm pretty sure Bobby is too, right?
Yes, but I love Bobby.
That is all I've got. Because this episode was fine. This episode's fine, aside from just dying.
Should we... Hey.
This episode's fine. Yes.
How many women out of white out of 10?
Many?
How many women out
God.
of... Women... How many... How many women white... How many white women... Wait...
You got this. You got this.
How many women in white would you rate this episode?
Yes. Fuck. Can I just give it the IMDb rating of 8.7?
You could give it the IMDb rating of 8.7. I was gonna give it like an 8.5. But honestly, wait, I'm thinking about the iconic moves.
I mean, it's good.
I'm thinking about the iconic line, "My boobs." Honestly, 9. 9 women in white.
I knock off a star for Jess dying, and I have to knock off at least half a star for the other 2 women also being dead.
Fair.
So, 8.5.
I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's a good pilot, and it would definitely drag people in. The problem is the fact that it gets worse.
Yeah.
So hopefully these episodes will get funnier, because I don't think this episode was particularly funny.
No, you just get
Sorry
to hear us
about
talk
that one.
about it. Sorry for it. There'll be goofs.
There'll be goofs. Next episode, maybe not. We're going to be really careful next episode, and you'll find out why. Next episode, will we have regrets?
Will we avoid saying a name?
Will we go camping? We might.
Will we go camping after we watch the episode? Probably not.
Do we have a sign-off?
I've been saying catch you on the flip side. Catch you on the flip side.
See y'all later. Bye.